That's in botanical nomenclature, that's if there's more than one species. And I'll show you why. We have that. Oh, first of all, this is Jeff Chilton. He owns Real Mushrooms. So this was at a Reishi conference in China some years ago. Pretty cool, huh? And every part of that dragon is reishi. See the long pieces? When reishi is grown in a low oxygen environment, it tends to grow what's called the antler version. So all those are reishi. So these are the Ganoderma species. So everyone is very accustomed to hearing Ganoderma lucidum, which means like a shiny Ganoderma. But actually, it turns out that was first described in Europe, and they found out that the species in China were not the same. So they have other species that are actually the ones that are most likely the ones that were originally found in China. So Ganoderma linger, Ganoderma citronensis, Ganoderma sinensis. Most of the whole reishi products that are coming from China are actually those. Lucidum is fairly rare. I've only seen it once in the U.S. in the mountains of North Carolina. Just beautiful, long stalk, really shiny. But they're all active. So here's your traditional Chinese description of it. So the Chinese name is linger, which means spiritual mushroom. From the very beginning, it was considered reishi had effects that would affect the spirit and mind. So it's sweet and neutral. Sweet meaning it's nourishing and building. Neutral means it's not going to create too much heat or cold in the body. So in decoction of 3 to 15 grams, in powder 1.5 to 3 grams. And that's in Chinese practice. So if I give bulk herbs to some patients, I'll give them 10 grams. Because I'm giving them 10 grams, 15 grams each of multiple other herbs. So its traditional actions and indications: nourishes the heart and calms the spirit. Heart and spleen deficiencies, but that means not necessarily literally the heart and spleen in Western physiology. This is Chinese physiology. This means someone who's really weak and pale and fatigued and catches colds easily, doesn't sleep well, and they have pale tongue, weak pulse. So this manifests in insomnia, forgetfulness, fatigue, listlessness, poor appetite. Stops coughing and arrests wheezing. Coughing caused by cold, coughing with profuse sputum, accelerated respiration, chronic asthma, and difficulty sleeping due to dyspnea, shortness of breath. So for chronic asthma, reishi is in quite a few of those formulas, along with other spiritual herbs like ginseng. For acute asthma, not so much. Tonifies qi and nourishes blood. This means it builds vital energy and it helps with blood count. Qi and blood deficiencies with weak digestion, poor appetite, listlessness, loose stools, fatigue, dizziness, and sore lower back. These are all classic Chinese symptoms of someone who's deficient. So this is from the Shenang Bensao, the Divine Farmer's Classic of Materia Medica from 200 AD. Taken for a long time, reishi lightens the body, staves off aging, extends the years, and makes you a spirit immortal. Have you seen any studies on the spirit immortal? It does do the rest of these things. And the Shenlong Bensao, it was a very long time ago, it tends to talk about the strengthening building herbs in this way. This is their way of describing it. It wasn't as much a medical text as the first really attempt at describing what the herbs do and classifying them into class 1, which is the highest class, that prevent disease, class 2, which treat disease, class 3, which are toxic and treat disease. So reishi is considered a class 1. So once again, cancer treatment. Patients with reishi extract in their anti-cancer regimen are more likely to respond to chemotherapy or radiotherapy than those without reishi. And they were found to have a relatively better quality of life than those in the control group. So I always try to get my cancer patients to take reishi and turpentine with their cancer therapy. Sometimes they will, sometimes they wait till they're done because they want to listen to the doctor, which I'm fine with that. Here's fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a really horrible condition where they have pain all over the body. It's really hard to diagnose properly, hard to treat. This was 64 women diagnosed with fibromyalgia. They were given 3 grams of reishi powder and water. So to answer these questions about dosage forms, in this case, they just dried it and ground it up to a powder, washed down some water. So 3 grams twice a day for 6 weeks, which is not a long time for something like this. At the end of the study, they showed significantly improved aerobic endurance, lower body flexibility, and walking speed. And that's only 6 weeks. And once again, reishi is completely non-toxic. This is that same HPV study we saw under turkey tails. They mixed turkey tail with reishi to treat HPV, and it was 88% viral clearance. How much of it was the turkey tail, how much was the reishi? Don't know, but that was actually a little bit better clearance than just turkey tail alone. Here's cancer-related fatigue. 4-week randomized placebo-controlled trial. They gave 3 grams per day of reishi spore powder. So they take the spores. If you were over at the medicinal table, you see all that brown dust all over the table. That wasn't dirt, that was spores falling off the various mushrooms. So they take these spores and they crack them open and they powder them. So even the spores are effective. So they gave it to 48 breast cancer patients undergoing endocrine therapy who had fatigue. Breast cancer patients, they give them hormone blockers, especially if it's an estrogen-positive cancer. So in general, they have a lot of fatigue with the cancer itself, with their treatment. So there were statistically significant improvements in physical well-being and fatigue after taking reishi. And here's where its spiritual aspect comes. These patients also reported less anxiety and depression, as well as better quality of life. And there's colorectal adenomas. These are precancerous polyps. So when people get a colonoscopy and they see these, they'll typically clip them off just so they don't turn into cancer. So this was a 12-month study. They gave 1.5 grams per day of reishi mycelium extract. So once again, a lower dose than just the mycelium. 123 patients with colorectal adenomas. So at the end, the number of adenomas increased in the non-treatment control group, and they decreased in the reishi group. The size of the adenomas increased in the control group, decreased in the reishi group. So, any questions?